Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Friends, Facts, and Fiction. As always, this podcast is made possible by our local convenience stores, the misappropriation of history, and you. And now to your hosts, Justin Hammonds, Brant Bramlett, and Drew Shellnut.
What's up? What's happening, bro? This is a podcast called Friends, Facts, and Fiction. And today, season 4, episode 12, Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, that's right, baby.
Hey. Word. So, yeah, interesting.
I got all of my information from Walt Disney.
Wow.
So it is accurate.
What a strange boy. Anyway, I'm Justin Hammonds. I'm looking at my boy, Drew Shellnut.
Hey, man.
My boy, Graham Bramlett.
How's it going?
And, yeah, we're back again, episode 12. Yeah, hot facts about to be dropped. Thank y'all for tuning in and fucking with us. You know what I'm saying? Keeping us going. Hope y'all are doing well out there and all that good stuff. How's everybody doing? Everybody good?
Good.
Everybody good? Yeah.
I fixed 2 toilets today.
Fixed 2 toilets today.
Yes, I did.
Look at you, man. Yeah.
Lawn care branching out.
Oh, yeah,
man.
You know, got to do whatever you can. No, they were just here. They're the like powder room that we have downstairs. Mm-hmm. The little gasket seal on the actual bolt that holds the tank on there. I think so. But just eventually, they go out.
Yeah, it disintegrates.
And it was leaking slowly. It turned into a whole thing, though, because I was like, oh, sweet. I just went by the hardware store and got a little, 4-pack of the rubber gasket things. Popped a new one on. Went and checked on it later. Still leaking. So, turned into a whole thing. But I got that bitch fixed now.
Oh, nice.
And then the guest bathroom upstairs was filling slow.
That's what it is.
The tank was filling really slowly.
It's the slow filling.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, so I go to replace like a new tank filler on it.
A little doohick.
But the cutoff valve was also out. It didn't actually cut the water off anymore. Oh. So
you just played a bunch of back and forth to the hardware store.
Ridiculous. I swear to God, like, what is it about if you have to go to the hardware store once, you have to go 3 times?
You have to. You have to.
There's at least one more time in the day.
It is insane.
In the week, probably 4 more times.
Yeah.
If you're on a major project.
I know.
But yeah.
I was like, I know how to do both of these things. Cool. Pop by the hardware store. Oh, great. Problem that I didn't know existed.
Pop right back out. Luckily, it's somewhat close.
Yeah, and it's done. You know what I mean? I feel accomplished today.
There you go.
Did some laundry, fixed some toilets.
There you go, bro. Yeah,
I'm a man.
Did some laundry at my girl's house and cleaned the kitchen, because today happens to be Valentine's Day.
It's true.
That we're recording. So happy Love Week. Should be love all the times.
Yeah.
Well,
that's another thing about
capitalism.
Like where do all these exactly where do all these holidays come from? Like my favorite
Hallmark,
one, my favorite advert that I've seen recently has been it's going on the whole Black History Month thing, but it's like Black History Always kind of
Black
a thing.
History 365. Or
Yeah. It's just like, come on now.
Well,
why is this? And then Carolyn brought up she said, I just looked down and saw that it's Women's Appreciation Month as well. And I was like, wow, America.
Really, though?
Yeah.
So we lumped Black Americans and women both into the shortest month of the year. That's
great.
Right?
It's like,
love it.
And then also,
priorities.
We
see where they are.
It's a holiday every other day.
Yeah.
It's the new holidays every fucking day. Like I wake up sometimes like, oh, it's sibling day. Had no fucking idea about
International
that.
Reebok Shoelaces.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, oh, it's hot dog day. Word, bro. Like, okay.
No, hot dog day. That sounds okay.
I mean, Taco Tuesday happens every week. You know what I'm saying?
See, they cornered the market.
Exactly. You got to think smarter.
Thanks for having 2 T's. Marketing, bitches. Man.
Shouts out Hallmark and capitalism. You know what I'm saying? Keeping our holidays lit.
That's funny.
But anyway, before we sign into these hot facts, like always, we got a song of the day of the week. SOD-OW, Graham Bramlett.
Yeah, this is a song called, it's a song by Jay Quick. And the song happens to be called Johnny Appleseed.
Racks on me, my diamond shining, it ain't hard to see. I'm ballin' hard, I got that work, it's like I'm in the league. Got a couple thousand around my neck and got bands in my jeans. I got this shit straight out the mud like Johnny Appleseed. Racks on me, my diamond shining, it ain't hard to see.
Hey, turn up.
I got that work, it's like I'm in the league. Got a couple thousand around my neck and got bands in my jeans. I got this shit straight out the mud like Johnny Appleseed.
Oh, he got it straight out like mud.
Like Johnny
Johnny
Appleseed.
Appleseed, my friend.
Oof.
Sometimes you gotta
Hard.
get it up out the mud.
Hey, out the mud with it, dog.
So, I
I was
was-
get your roots right.
Struggling a little bit to come up with like a real song of the day of the week, and I was like, well, Johnny Appleseed is an icon. I'm sure people have written songs about him. It was a bunch of like old, like little kid songs, and then like old country and western, and a couple of jazz tunes, and then this No FX song about Johnny Appleseed that was just unlistenable.
Wow.
I was like, this would be funny, and then I got through like 15 seconds. I was like, I can't even
pretend to
enjoy
like
this.
this.
Yeah.
Par for the course, my guy. Par for the course.
And so
yeah, before we slide into these hot facts, though, you know what I'm saying? Get comfortable. You know what I mean? Lean back, relax, take a little puff, maybe a little sip. You know what I mean? Yeah. Make sure you're using your signal lights if you're driving. You know what I'm talking about?
that's true, actually.
Hey.
Use your fucking blinker, man.
Anyway,
And merging acts like a zipper. All right, people?
hey, let's not get into what chaps our ass today. The ass chapper column is full these days. Anyway, yeah, these hot facts, man. Johnny Appleseed, man, a.k.a. Johnny App, J-A-P.
The man, the myth, the actual living legend. John, a.k.a. Johnny, a.k.a. Johnny Appleseed. He may have popped up in your middle school as like a caricature of sorts, right? This barefooted dude with a potato sack for a shirt, a sauce pot on his head, tossing apple seeds as he walks across the Wild West. There's a ridiculously 1940s Disney short that most of us would probably recognize if you can't recall it right now, but I bet if I put it on, you'd be like, oh yeah, I think I saw that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It had like wildlife flitting around him and everyone's smiling, you know, that standard like propaganda kind of bullshit. Get them when they're young, you know.
It's like,
That
this
was-
is happy. This is awesome.
Yeah, that
this
was-
dude is cool.
That was Walt's deal.
I forgot
man.
that. I didn't think he was a real fucking person.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, he actually is. John Chapman, or Johnny Appleseed, was a very real, very weird dude.
Turn up.
You
So
can,
Scotty's cousin.
yeah. I mean, I would not be surprised. Anyways, that's an old bandmate of ours, and anyways, you can consider him the OG conservationist or a failed capitalist trying to take advantage of Western mobility shortly after the Revolutionary War.
Oh, look at that. I
let
would
you
never
guys make
thought
up
of
your
him
mind.
as that.
Okay, so little is known about his early life, but he was born September 26th, 1774, in Leominster, Massachusetts, to Elizabeth and Nathaniel Chapman. He had one older sister, Elizabeth, after the mother, which is kind of weird, and a younger brother named Nathaniel, or Junior. So he got skipped for some reason.
What?
Just thought that was strange.
We're just tired of making names.
Just, hey, whatever.
The oldest boy is supposed to be the junior, but whatever.
Right. What is
It's
this?
like, whatever.
Fucking Handmaid's Tale?
I gave up.
Alfred.
Also, the city of Massachusetts got lemons, and they stared at them. Lemon stare.
Nice. That's pretty good. I like that.
Cool. Anyway,
They were like,
let's get out of there. Let's get out
When
of there.
life gives you lemons, stare at them.
Yeah, stare at them. Stare at them. Lemon star, Massachusetts.
But
Shots up.
I wanted to point that out because it seemed kind of mean, but I mean, maybe different times, I suppose. Maybe they hadn't invented the junior as the firstborn rule yet in America. Who knows?
They got tired of remembering names. And I was like, oh yeah, we could have did junior.
Yeah.
The whole fucking time. Shit.
So his mom died giving birth to Junior, though, in July of 1776.
Oh, really?
So like a few weeks after we got our independence, which is
Damn.
just kind of crazy if you think
That
about
is
it.
nuts to think about, actually.
Yeah.
At least you got to see it, no?
Yeah. And all the while, their dad, Nathaniel Sr., was a Minuteman in the war. So they probably went to stay with some family, but again, we don't really know. But in 1781, Dad comes home due to a record in the military at the time that stated unsatisfactory management of military stores.
Minuteman.
That's what my boy was jacking them.
Yeah, I think so.
He's stealing some shit. Black market, baby.
Love it. Which means that he didn't get the land allotment and pension that was usually granted to officers that fought in the Revolutionary War. He scoops out the kids, Elizabeth and John, and gets hitched again to a Lisa Cooley. just south of Springfield, Massachusetts. And
This is Cooley.
these two pop out 10 kids in 21 years.
Shit, son.
No, man.
Which
They just walking out that
I'm
thing
good.
by the end of it, huh?
isn't that, that's honestly not that weird for the time, but the nuts part of it is that all of the kids survived into adulthood.
Oh, wow.
That's insane.
That's
Yeah,
fucking
that's nuts.
insane,
pretty wild.
actually.
That's pretty wild.
And this clan or tribe, I would call it based on the numbers here, all lived in a 400 square foot house with an attic for sleeping in.
Oh, so you got motherfuckers just sleeping on
How?
shelves. You got motherfuckers
I
just sleeping
don't
on top of each
know.
other.
Tuscaloosa County Jail?
I mean, I guess they had like triple bunk beds. I really don't know how they figured that
that's-
shit out.
You know, the fun part of like camping in the backyard, that's like, hey, I'd rather just camp in the backyard. G.
Yeah. yeah.
Just give me a blanket, bro. I'm good. Like,
Okay, so
Probably smell like ass up in
probably because of everything you're talking about, Johnny and Junior number 2,
Oh, okay.
they had another son.
Oh, my God.
named him Nathaniel.
but I feel like they only remember the first two, and then they just like,
Yep.
whatever.
Hey, legit.
You, blue eyes, come here.
My grandfather, I know you guys know this, but you know he's a farmer in North Mississippi. He was one of 12. His birth certificate is Boy Bramlett number 8, I believe. I might
What?
be wrong on the name. I mean on the number, but they called him
this is like-
RV, letter
Oh,
R,
yeah,
letter
yeah,
V,
yeah.
and nobody knows why. He had an older brother named JQ, and they think that was for John Quincy Bramlett. But again,
Recreational vehicle? Did he
I don't
coin
know.
it?
That's my grandfather's name was RV, and we don't know why.
That's freaking wild,
So
bro.
you know
They just come up with whatever sticks.
that
Like,
shit's real, man.
What's he looking like? What's he looking like? Like an RV to you? Yeah, RV.
yeah.
RV.
Better than Eustace.
So
Randy Van Quinten.
so, anyways, Johnny and I'm just probably gonna call him Junior number 2. Decided to hit the quote unquote road for the West. Quotes here because it was straight up wilderness in western Pennsylvania, and apparently Johnny got kicked in the head by a horse, and they had to remove part of his skull to relieve the pressure.
Oof.
Which may be the true beginning of our story here.
So they just
There's
they
going to be
just-
some stuff that pops up, and I'm just going to have to remind you,
just-
he got kicked in the head by a horse, okay?
So this
like
is
my life.
This is what the late 1700s, early 1800s. And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just like, we're just gonna take a piece of your skull out real quick.
Apparently, even
All right.
at the time, that was like a pretty archaic thing still to do. But again, they were
Yeah.
in the middle of fucking nowhere. So you probably got like a dentist or a barber to like cut
Definitely,
out
a
some
lot,
of his
lot of
skull.
barbers doing surgery. Back
Yeah,
then.
no, for
Oh,
real.
yeah. Sure.
That was a very real thing.
Yeah, definitely. That shit is wild, bro.
So just past the Ohio River was technically America's at the time, but no one was living on it. So it was basically a free-for-all. Trading and buying land from natives and fighting over property lines. Also, a lot of flipping is going on. Someone would require an allotment and then immediately turn it for just like a little more money than they got from the government, you know? And sometimes Congress...
No wonder America's fucked. Look at the
Right?
beginning.
I mean, that's how we started saying, no, this is mine. They
Fuck you,
said
bye.
it was. We said, fuck you, plow. It's mine now,
it's a
bitch.
constant cycle of gentrification.
Yeah.
Constant cycle.
Yeah, no, seriously. And then sometimes Congress would allot land for businesses or individuals with the stipulation of improving the land, making it more enticing to either stay or move into it, right? One of these ways was to develop orchards.
Look at that.
I don't know, say apple orchards, just to throw a random fruit out there.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I was trying to pick up what it could be
The 12 acres of land
off
that
of
my
the subject matter that we're talking about.
that my grandmother owns is all terraced down, down to our 3-acre pond. And it's because my great granddad used to have apple orchards.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, for that sake, let's talk about apples.
Yay!
So this fruit actually originated in Turkmenistan, slightly before the Roman Empire.
Hey, go check out Ashgabat, Turkmenistan episode.
I know, that's why I put that in there. I
shit
was like,
lit.
oh shit, that's cool. The Romans picked them up and they spread them all throughout Western Europe, and people did all sorts of things with them. But people in America during Johnny's time rarely ate apples or cooked with them because they were straight up nasty. They were called spitters at the time.
Just bite it and spit it.
Yeah, you bite into it and you immediately spit it out.
Like a crab apple these days.
Yeah. So because you can't just plant a red delicious seed and get a red delicious apple tree, right?
What?
So, it's a lot of different apples
Yeah.
out there, bro. Shit ton of different ones.
They're heterogeneous seeds.
Yeah.
So, like, technically, one apple seed could produce 10 different types of apple tree.
Wow.
And most
gangster
of
as
them
fuck.
are shit. Most apples are not good to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a fun little thing.
Weird.
The best way to get good eating apples is by grafting a limb from a good tree onto a pre-existing tree. And in America's climates versus Western Europe, or perhaps the travel time, that didn't always work. My point to explaining all of this is that we, as in Americans, made hard cider with our apples, and sometimes apple cider vinegar,
Hey, hangover cure, my guy.
which was, and still is for that matter, viewed as medicinal, the vinegar, right?
Amen.
And since you got drunk, and of course that was a guaranteed clean drinking option, they were actually quite valuable. Even if they were
Yeah.
spitters, if you could make booze out of it,
Yeah, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
we're going to be able to sell that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hey, one thing about America, we gonna find a way to sell some shitty shit.
So back to Mr. Appleseed. He got the bright idea of digging through the trash of cider presses in Massachusetts during the winter for the seeds, and then walking out into the wilderness of the Ohio River Valley and mostly modern-day Pennsylvania, plant them, build a little fence out of sticks to keep animals out, and then just dip out.
So he just freestyling the apple joint.
He's just
like, let's see
freestyling
what
this whole
happens. Let's see
thing.
what
And I mean,
happens.
just, I think so hard of Ben Kissel when I'm thinking about this part of just like, boom, flip it.
yeah.
He just,
Boom, flip it.
he just goes like behind the cidery or the cider making place and then just digs through the slush to find enough seeds
Yeah.
and then just hoofs it out
And then
there.
just like, we'll holler at you real
yeah.
quick.
Yeah, so
Barefoot,
he's
by
like,
the way.
the proverbial, almost
wild.
like Oprah Winfrey of his time. And you get an apple, and you get an apple.
There you go. He's trying to just feed the hood, G. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or make some more fucking booze.
So, but the crazy thing is that he was like pretty good at like just knowing or kind of like being intuitively knowing
had a knack.
when people were going to be coming. And so when the other settlers would get there the next year, almost always he planned it out correctly somehow. There would be saplings already waiting for them.
Word.
Now the land is seen as valuable and they can buy it from Chapman.
Look at that.
Right? Boom, flip it.
Yeah.
Which is
a
quite
nice
the fucking
system going.
hustle. Seriously,
Yeah.
man.
Hell yeah.
But here's the kicker. Dude man didn't really care about money. If they couldn't pay,
Come on,
he'd
old Johnny
say,
App.
yeah. If they couldn't pay, he'd say, just pay me when you can. But apparently it was very well known that he would never ask them to settle up their debt, saying something along the lines of, they know they owe me money. I don't want to embarrass them or cause them undue distress by reminding them to pay me.
Oh, thanks, Grandma.
Ah, man, that's cool. But, you know, in a slight defense, motherfuckers got killed for less. So if you did embarrass somebody in public, they'd probably kill you.
That
less.
is a good point.
You know what I mean?
And furthermore, if he ever encountered somebody abusing an animal, especially horses, he'd buy that horse from them and then release it into the wild.
That's awesome.
Wow.
What a sweetie.
Wow.
Right?
Look at this guy. Just out here probably tripping balls.
Hey,
off
you know, I'm
bad
just now
apples.
thinking about this right this
Loving
fucking
everybody.
second, actually. That's actually kind of dope.
Yeah.
That he doesn't have a vendetta against horses, if you think about it.
Yeah. Right?
He forgave all the horses. And as far as Johnny's route through the Wild West, it was pretty unclear. Just a bunch of word-of-mouth accounts of this weird but nice guy wandering by barefoot. But we do know that it was roughly New York through Pennsylvania and then into Ohio and Indiana eventually. A lot of people have tried recreating this, but to little success. No roads. Most of the settlers couldn't or didn't write things down. So the best version of accounting for his movements were trading post ledgers. In 1797 in Warren, Pennsylvania, John and Nathaniel bought a tool called a spike gimlet, books, cheese, and sundries.
Okay. Sundries, huh?
And as sweet as he is, man, that's actually a pretty badass level of light packing to go rough it in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On
I'm
foot.
taking a charcuterie board, guys.
Yeah, like
My boys is out here
what
thugging,
the
bro.
fuck?
I'm gonna do some light reading, maybe a little cheese board, bro.
Hey, bro, can you pass me some of that some of that wine coated goat cheese with a little bit of prosciutto?
And he's got a flock of horses just following him because he's got apples. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, nice. Some think that his first orchard was in Warren, Pennsylvania, so that could be a good starting point for us. But in any case, we do know that he was taking advantage of this Homestead Act or land grant program. But the kicker is that you had to stay there a certain amount of time, and apparently he rarely did. Or in some cases...
He's a mover shaker, bro.
Yeah, or in some cases, claim jumpers would just take it from him. And so a lot of him getting land, and then it will say slipping through his fingers.
Yes.
He's like essentially the first hippie.
More or less,
what I'm
yeah.
hearing.
I mean,
You know?
kind of, yeah, for real though. Okay, y'all remember why or how I mentioned the best way to grow good apples is by grafting, but his name is Johnny Appleseed, not Johnny Applegraft, right?
This is true.
Maybe
he's a
wondering
cedar,
why,
bro.
or simply saying because that second name fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like, of course
Applegraft.
it's not
And
Applegraft.
you can't say grapple seed because then it's some kind of way cool ninja rope, you know?
Applegraph sounds like a knockoff cereal.
It does actually, yeah.
Applegraph. Start your morning right.
Part of a balanced breakfast.
Do you like the taste of cardboard and sugar? Here you go.
Applegraft, good with powdered milk.
Tastes nothing like apples.
There's some water on that shit. Anyway.
Well, old Johnny was a Swedenborgian,
Okay.
which I'm sure you guys have all heard about, or has a friend who's a member of this
Of course.
Swedish sect of an odd offshoot of a New Jerusalem-style church that was founded in North America in the late 1700s. Of course, we
Yeah,
all
yeah,
have
yeah.
a
I've been reading
Swedenborgian
about
or
this,
two.
actually.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Swedenborgians, they're, yeah.
By the way, as of 2010, there's over 1,500 members nationwide.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
So
there's-
they're all in one location.
Right? Yeah. What about
this
a block?
This
Yeah.
weird religion was influenced by the writings of a scientist and mystic named Emanuel Swedenborg.
Oh, that's why they're Swedenborgian.
He was
and once a scientist and mystic.
scientist
Bro,
and mystic.
Bro, and this is before Stan Lee, Doctor Strange. And
Yeah,
his
man.
Boy.
This is actually 1688 to 1772 is Emmanuel's life there. But Swedenborgian organizations acknowledge what they believe to be the universal nature of God's church. All who do good in accordance with the truth of their religion will be accepted into heaven, since God is goodness itself. And doing good joins one with God. All fine stuff, in my opinion, so
mean,
far.
yeah,
I don't see any
I was
problems
about
so
to
far.
say, that sounds better than what I've been taught.
The golden rule type of situation,
Pretty
basically.
good. Swedenborg published some of his theoretical works anonymously, which is a little concerning. His writings prompted one universal church based on love and charity, rather than multiple churches named after their founders and based on belief or doctrine. This, again, seems a little better than a lot of what we have now.
So, bro, this is like the ancestors of the summer of '69, basically.
Seriously, though.
It's like love will win.
But Johnny's
Sounding nice.
interpretation of some of the other aspects of this weird little church was to live his life in celibacy, primarily because his two, not one, wives have already died, and he's going to hook up with them in the afterlife.
Oh, I got you. He's planning ahead.
Well, I think he was kicked in the head, but sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Sound like he was planning some head.
He strictly ate a vegetarian diet so as to not hurt animals, which was crazy weird to everyone at the time.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
bro.
the entire Western world ate meat in some form or fashion back
Yeah,
then.
back when you were like wrestling an animal with
Yeah.
a knife. Yeah.
And furthermore, not to harm a plant unless you needed to, i.e., planting apple seeds, knowing the apples will probably be shit, instead of grafting branches from better apple-bearing trees, because it would have hurt that apple tree.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
my boy is deep out here.
Wow.
Bro.
Yeah, dog.
Man, he's mushrooms.
That's what I was about to say.
A lot of wild mushrooms
Yeah,
in
yeah.
his life, bro. Okay. Them golden teachers out there.
And so, and here's an amazing kicker to all of this before I get back into his actual life or whatever. These people, Swedenborgians, sorry, that if you are bad on earth, hell is reliving all of the bad things you did here. So if you like to have premarital sex, eat meat, gamble, overindulge in alcohol, that's your eternity. And if you're good, heaven is basically the same life you had on earth, doing the good things you hopefully enjoyed doing.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Funny enough, because he was known and written about in his church before a lot of the writings of him in America. So the Swedenborgians had found out about Johnny Appleseed before America found out about Johnny Appleseed, if that makes sense. Yeah. Which is kind of nuts. I don't understand how they would have known that he's like spreading their gospel,
their seeds.
But also like I really honestly like this religion a lot, because
it's pretty.
Most of the bad stuff I've done, I would not mind doing that again.
Right.
Several more times.
I was looking for it eternally. I can kind of rock with this, bro. I mean, you know,
how is this still not around?
Why, there's 1,500 members
nationwide.
nationwide.
Hey, if you sweet and hit us up, bro. We'll give y'all a beacon to talk through to the world.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
You know, email us.
I got an extra room in my apartment. You want to come stay and do the podcast with us for one time?
From the sounds of it, they're probably couch surfers.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a couch.
They probably are, man. I got a couch too.
Turn up.
All right, moving on. Johnny Appleseed's bullshit apples didn't actually matter, though, because we were all making booze out of them anyways. So they essentially had way more value than a good eaten apple. And this mule-kicked pseudo-Swedenborgian missionary was digging seed out of the trash, walking them into the wilderness. I just wanted to say that again because fucking what?
Yeah.
Planting an orchard and dipping out, often defaulting on the land agreement, or just giving an orchard to someone hoping that they will get him back on the dead eventually. It's fucking amazing. Just fucking amazing.
Crazy,
man.
bro. Things that wouldn't work today.
So here's an amazing account of him that will give us a good visual of the dude. In 1829, a fundamentalist preacher by the name of Adam Payne asked a crowd, "Where is your barefoot pilgrim now?" And John Chapman, dressed in rags, unkempt hair underneath an odd handmade hat, held up a calloused bare foot and yelled, "Here he is!"
Wow. My dude. He raising foots out here. He raising foots.
That was the original Walmart foot, too.
Oh, dude, yes.
Yeah, bro, he's in the lights of like Rasputin over across the pond.
Right.
Okay, and now here's something that's just truly amazing that I started looking into when it was mentioned on a podcast about him. And I'm not sure if I've got my head totally wrapped around it, or like I have this account in properly because it wasn't very well accounted, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And so there's this, sometimes I was reading a few things where I'm like, oh, that doesn't actually line up with the other one. And then the timeline seems skewed on this one. Oh, well, it's hilarious. And this is my favorite one. So this is what I ran with.
There you go.
But anyways, let's give it a go. John Chapman was, of course, really skilled at walking. So good at it, man. Boy had hobbit feet for real.
Yeah, straight up.
And since he knew the territory so well, people would hire him to do just that, walk their property, which could have easily been his at one point.
This is true.
Yeah. But they had him walk something that may have been his before to make sure that nothing hinky is going on during the tensions leading up to the War of 1812.
Turn up.
When the native populations were getting really pissed off at colonial expansion into their lands, Britain, who was also quite pissed with us, decided it'd be a good idea to hop on board with the various tribes to get back at us. It's a quick synopsis of if anybody didn't know or forgot about the War of 1812.
The real thing.
Anyways, John, he doing what he do best, walking.
Turn up.
And at one point,
Bilbo Baggins.
he either falsely or mistakenly warned American colonists of the British coming when in fact they were American troops.
Oh, wow.
So we have this crazy homeless version of Paul Revere's famous ride. Homie in rags, barefoot, and a stupid hat, running through the woods for over 13 miles,
Holy shit.
yelling that the British are coming. Except it was Americans.
That's fucking wild. Hey, my boy was tripping balls, bro. I'm telling you, he eating a hell of a lot of mushrooms and cheese.
Well, I mean, with the amount of apple seeds hold cyanide. And I know all about that.
True
so
that.
you don't fuck with all
my
that
boy
shit.
is out here.
A Colonel Kratzer was trying to remove a group of Native Americans from southwest Ohio by convincing an American preacher that the natives trusted to help him move them, saying he didn't want bloodshed. The Reverend believed him, and then the colonel set all of the native homes on fire once they got them to move.
Come on now.
So, of course, they went after each other, right? A lot of back and forth, and shit's getting worse. So the colonists are on edge and requested backup. And apparently that's where Johnny misunderstood the situation. They needed backup for this American troop fighting against these natives, not a group of natives and a British troop coming for the township that he ran through on his way to the closest fort/military encampment.
So still battling a little bit of brain damage there. Eh? Can't compute what is being said.
I just love the fact that it is well documented that he ran over 13 miles back there and back.
Yeah.
Like, ran all the way, a marathon, basically, all the way through the woods to say, the British are coming, and I got to get this military troop from this fort, and then ran all the way back. The British are still coming.
My boy, man. Talk about a need of a shoe deal. Jesus Christ. Where's Nike when you need them, bro?
Now, any history buffs out there, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I really don't want to be wrong, because what a fucking legend.
Jesus.
And a living legend he was starting to become. Not much of a mainstream dude when conforming was a big deal to colonists back then. His odd appearance made him memorable and would just kind of already be in an area when people started moving in. So a larger group comes in, asks some people that were there ahead of the pack, hey, who's that fucking weird dude on the outskirts of town? I have no clue. He was already here and gave me an apple orchard. Nice guy.
It's like a mayor of all these random lands.
Yeah.
It seems.
And then Johnny would just be gone one day. And then he would randomly show up a few years later to check back in on his orchard.
So how's that apple tree?
How's that apple tree?
Yeah. And they're
How's
like,
that plot of
oh,
land?
you're that weird barefoot guy. What's up, man?
I got a whole family now because of you. Appreciate you, bro.
We're selling booze like crazy over here. Thanks, bud.
Angry orchard out back.
Nice.
It's like a makeshift Al Capone, but real nice. All this free booze.
Apparently, he was like really sociable and liked talking to people, especially about Swedenborgianism, and loved entertaining the local children by poking his calloused feet with pins and needles,
Because he couldn't feel shit.
walking on hot coals, and telling wild stories of his adventures, which were mostly made up, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
So his lore grows with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you telling stories around a fucking campfire or some shit?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Tall tales, if you
It was a regular occurrence for a family to invite him in for dinner and would let him sleep in their barn or something. He didn't really have much contact with his family in his life and died peacefully in his sleep at the age of 70, north of Fort Wayne, Indiana, due to winter plague, as they called it back then.
Oh, poor guy.
Seasonal plague, huh?
Which is just a catch-all for like the cold, flu, bronchitis, what have you, whatever you get during the cold months.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But also, 70 years though.
Yeah,
Living the way
man,
he did, man.
the life expectancy back then was 45.
That's crazy. Well, it's the thing of him growing up with fucking 13 people, 14 people in a 400 square foot home.
They're shitting all
His
over
immune
each other.
system was fucking pure, bro. He's
was,
seen
man.
everything early.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Also, not to mention their genes, like the fact that all those kids made it into adulthood is kind of insane.
This is wild, bro.
It must have been something.
Something special was happening there.
And, you know, of course, he received like no medical care. He clearly wasn't much for hygiene. And
Man of the wood, if you will.
well, he was just walking around the woods barefoot.
Yeah.
All the time. Either way, we're getting something wrong these days, or he was a tough and lucky bastard. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Man, he's the first hobbit, bro. Mm-hmm. Or maybe he's the last.
He's the last
breed of
hobbit.
the hobbit. Ooh,
Last of the
Hey, turn up on that.
Hobhekins.
Yeah, okay. That's just far enough left where I'll keep it.
I'm telling you, bro. The Hobhekins. Okay. As Bilbo Baggins' descendant.
Yeah. So an obituary at the time in like local area or whatever that he passed read. On this day in 1845, John Chapman died having made a fortune planting apple saplings on the American frontier. Born and raised in Leominster, the man remembered as Johnny Appleseed left Massachusetts in the 1790s just as farmers were moving into the Midwest. Often the only alcoholic beverage available in frontier settlements was cider. To Chapman, this represented a business opportunity. An odd man who considered it cruel to ride a horse or chop down a tree, he planted orchards to quench the farmer's thirst, not to keep him healthy. Only later, when the apple industry wanted to distance itself from the stigma of hard cider, did the eccentric, entrepreneurial John Chapman become the beloved folk hero known as Johnny Appleseed.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it seems like his obituary was obviously like way later. Apparently, there was no documentation of his death until 2 years after he had died, from historians looking into it. And they didn't really start writing about him until like the 1920s. And, you know. But anyways.
What was that guy's name, John, that used to play? Was it John that played guitar with us? That liked to stare at himself?
John Pratt?
Yeah.
And Chapman?
Yeah. That's funny.
Come on now.
Yeah, that is funny. That is really funny.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But the possessions that he left behind included a horse, 2,000 tree apple orchards.
Damn.
Yeah. Several parcels of land, whatever that actually means.
Right.
And, quote, various other things.
Just collections, you know.
Real
A
quick,
cool walking stick.
You gotta love how we used to do business back in the day. I mean, come on.
It's like, you know, he had a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know what I mean?
Got a parcel.
That's,
You know.
Yeah, how many is several? How big is a parcel?
Because,
you know,
like I know parchment is paper, but they used to call that a parcel as well.
Yeah.
So it's got like a few pieces of paper of land.
worth of land. Yeah, maybe.
There's also, you just decide where your property line is back in those days.
Yeah.
So like, I think I want it all the way to that tree.
Yeah, seriously, though.
Back to this one. You know?
So-
Like, nobody's sanctioning this shit.
So funny, man. Most of his land went towards the back taxes that he owed and that he never paid, and everything else was
Turn up
sold.
tax season.
He was the first hippie.
and everything else was sold off for about $409, which is roughly $9,000 in today monies. And all that went to people coming forward to say that he owed them for room and board or supplies that he bought on credit in different towns.
It's a chain of like, oh, well, homie owed me.
Yeah.
So once I get it from him,
Yeah.
then I'm going to get it to you. But he got to get it first to pay me. But he lives like 3 parcels that way. You know what I'm saying? So I got to make a parcel run. You know what I'm saying?
So he basically had no physical legacy to speak of because when he died, they just sold it all off to pay off all his debts and everything. But damn, what a life.
He had some pretty good physical legs to see the country. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Shut up, Drew.
Jesus Christ.
He was a friend to all the natives as well and never was close really to anyone. I mean, I guess his younger brother when they first went out, but apparently his junior number 2 bounced back home to like help his dad with their property or whatever,
Right.
leaving Johnny on his own in the wilderness for basically the rest of his life.
Well, you know, he had 2 wives.
Well, they were already dead, yeah.
Okay, so he didn't have any wives.
No,
Okay.
no, he was completely celibate. When he passed away, he gets to enjoy his two wives that had already died before he was born.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So he
No. He saw them in a vision.
okay.
Justin.
Right. I forgot we're speaking in religious terms. Here, so shit you can't see. I feel you. I dig it. All right. Understood.
In Harper's Magazine, one of the oldest magazines in the country, and it's still in print. Neat.
Shouts out Harper's.
Wrote about him 30 years after he died. That kind of sparked this nationwide folk tale of him. Here's a little clip of it. Johnny Appleseed is described as a man of medium height, blue eyes, light brown hair, slender, wiry, and alert. Folklore has also described him as funny looking because of the way he dressed. It said he traded apple trees for settlers' cast-off clothing. He was known to give the better clothing to people he felt needed it more than he. This could be why legend says he wore only coffee sacks with holes cut for his head and arms as clothing. He rarely wore shoes, even during the cold of winter. It is said he could walk over the ice and snow barefooted, and that the skin was so thick on his feet that even a rattlesnake couldn't bite through it. Another legend says that he wore a mush pot on his head as a hat. This is unlikely since pots at the time were made of a heavy copper or
I was about
iron.
to say, we got a strong neck.
Well, he was missing part of his skull. So
But it's more likely
Probably
he...
a helmet.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
The first helmet, bro.
He is Dark Helmet.
Really good point.
Johnny Appleseed, a.k.a. Dark Helmet.
Yeah, how he doing it, bro? He's a superhero hobbit, cuz.
But it's more likely he wore someone else's cast-off hat or made his own out of cardboard.
Oh, turn up.
He rarely sought shelter in a house since he preferred to sleep on bare ground in the open forest with his feet to a small fire.
So he just like baking his damn feet out here every night.
In 1842, Johnny made his last trip back to Ohio after spending 50 years walking throughout the countryside.
Well, my guy could kick through a brick wall, dog. Strong ass legs.
And then, like I mentioned earlier, the poems came, a vast majority of them in the 1920s. And, of course, the massively false Disney short in 1948.
Walt Disney lied?
Yeah, he did. At
Holy
least this once.
Just had to been just
Yeah,
that
okay,
one.
just
Just the once. Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of this is more of a romantic memorialization of the old Wild West. You know, that overly like dramatized version of our country forming and growing. Basically a bunch of people grasping at straws, in this case, Johnny Appleseed, to not make us look as much like the dirty, thieving murderers we used to be. And fortunately, still are these days. Although, cool thing, there is apparently one Johnny Appleseed apple tree still in Ohio to this day.
Oh, turn up.
Yeah. See, most all of them were chopped down and burned during by the feds during Prohibition to get people to stop making booze out of them.
Oh, yeah, forget about that.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Break a bottle. Don't burn a tree.
I know.
You dumb.
I also cover that dumbass
You know how
part of
long
history,
it takes to make that apple into that bottle? Come on.
I know.
Also, to have a
ridiculous.
successful tree. I mean, shit.
You know what I'm saying? Anyways, a very accurate and much more in-depth account of John Chapman is a book called The Man, the Myth, The American Story by Howard Means. So credit is due to him for this and some various podcasts to listen to while driving around or taking a bath or what's something else, Justin?
Yeah, you know, mowing your grass.
Okay.
Turn
Cleaning
down.
your house. You know what I'm saying? Or when you turning down.
Turn down.
So I say turn up a lot. You know what I'm saying? No vegetables. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, whatever you're doing out there. You know
There is a podcast called Stuff You Missed in History Class that covers Johnny Appleseed
Oh,
that I liked a lot.
That was a title that we were going to do at one point.
I know.
Last
Isn't that
podcast.
funny?
Glad we didn't.
And Omnibus, which is like a musician and comedian, and the best Jeopardy player ever.
Oh, word. So it's a comedian and a super hyper intelligent dude.
Yeah.
That's dope.
It's actually a good
Eric?
podcast. I've listened to a few episodes now.
When you said omnibus, I thought you meant like I am the bus, but it's like omnibus.
Oh, man.
It's like a complete
Yeah.
accounting
I
of
see.
everything. Yeah.
I see. I see.
It's hurting my brain. I can't remember Homeboy's name.
Yeah, he went up against the computer and shit, didn't he?
Ken Jennings.
Hey.
Jennings, turn up.
Thank you, on-site producer.
G Higgs with the facts, hot facts.
Well, that's our dude. Any thoughts?
Didn't know he was real till today. Didn't know he was that dope and randomly dope.
Also, I got, when you were describing the pot on his head, my brain went to Davy Crockett. And I was like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
he had a fucking raccoon hat. But I didn't say anything.
Fucking raccoon.
That's the wrong one.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Davy Crockett, you can see why Johnny Appleseed was like a good like alternate version to Davy Crockett. You know what I mean? Or like all of the gunslingers and stuff that we used
balance
to
it
have.
out.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, but
But look at this hippie dude,
But hey,
you know,
right?
tossing seeds on the
Yeah.
roadside, petting
Don't-
birds.
Hey,
you know?
don't forget to ignore this capitalism out here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He survived somehow, barefoot as fuck and fucking
For 70
burlap
fucking
sacks.
years.
It's fucking crazy, bro. It's nuts to think about.
Oh,
You got some hot facts?
yeah. On-site producer again helped us out here. Apparently, a parcel of land will be anywhere from a fifth of an acre to 160 acres in size.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So that clears that up for
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
several parcels.
Several parcels.
It's like other shit in history that we've covered on this fucking podcast where it's like, yeah, like 200 to 20,000 people died. It's like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
I need more even.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle, bro. Ballpark me better than that.
There's apparently a better one
Fucking
that says
crazy.
there are 40 acres in a parcel, which has 4 sides that measure 13, 20 feet each.
So later in life, they cleared up the parcel,
I guess so.
kind of.
Yeah.
So a parcel and a mule is what we wanted back. We wanted back in the day. 40 acres and a mule.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when they say
Promises never.
it's like when they say
Never.
a dozen. I looked up the definition of dozen a little while back. I just looked up the definition of several because I was like, well, that's a fucking. That's
It's always been 7 to me because it just sounds
well,
like
it says 2 is a couple, more than 2 or 3 is several. That's weird because, yeah,
Two is a couple,
what
three
was,
is a
what was
group.
it? What was it
That's
that I
what I
said?
Many.
A few.
A few.
A few. The definition of a few is 3 to 8.
So several is 8 to whatever.
8 to 12, I guess?
No,
Eight.
Or 3 to 12.
No, several is 2 or 3.
And then some? Or just
And
2
then
or 3?
some. So it's like a few several.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
sweet.
several few.
A few severals
Yeah.
of parcels.
A few
Cool,
severals
cool.
of parcels. So he had to walk 3 of them to get his money back. Is what we saying. So
Yeah.
the wraparound is full circle.
So now you should have your mind wrapped around it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we
Johnny
cleared that
Appleseed,
up.
bro. You know, shit. Somebody needs to go plant some apple trees out here, man. Do your thing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Justin Hammonds. Hold on, that's a little too early. I hope y'all enjoy this episode, man. All these hot facts I heard by Johnny Appleseed. Remember, you can support us at anchor.fm/Friends, Facts, and Fiction. Give us that 5-star review. Follow us. Give us good comments. I don't know. Email us. I don't know. Keep listening. We love y'all. You know, we're happy that y'all happy or be happy. And you know what I'm saying.
Davey
I'm
Crockett.
Justin Hammonds, and I'm saying live life because it's worth living, y'all.
And I'm Shrew Delnut. And I'm saying go to hell.
All right.
Because,
What do you think Drew has to say? I don't think I like this shrew guy.
oh no, Drew says, stay informed, be kind, of make a difference.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, Shrew
But
Delnuts.
Shrew Delnut,
It's a coin flip.
he
there.
said go to hell. Praise Dale.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde over here. All right.
Hey, Grant Bramlett here. Everybody out there. If you were ever mean to John Chapman, I never liked you. But if you got to see him poke his feet with needles or walk on coal or show his bare Walmart foot to a fucking tent revivalist preacher guy, because those guys were dicks, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Saying,
The fire and brimstone
here he
preachers.
is. Man, I always loved you. That's awesome.
Oh, man. It's crazy. We might know a descendant of this John Chapman. Anyway.
Hey, or two.
Yeah, right? But remember, we love y'all. Stay safe. Be positive. All that good shit. This has been a podcast called Friends, Facts, and Fiction. And we out.
Thanks for listening and stay tuned for the next installment. Find us on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on all things Friends, Facts, and Fiction. Our Instagram handle is friends_facts_fiction. As always, please reach out to us. You can send any of your questions, praise, and fact-checking to friends_facts_fiction@gmail.com. It's important to us to only propagate the truth, and we'll correct any errors we may have made. Your hosts and researchers are Justin Hammonds, Grant Bramlett, and Drew Shelnut. Our episodes are produced by Grant Bramlett. Additional producership provided by Grace Higgs. Our recording engineer is Grant Bramlett. Our editor, mix, and mastering audio engineer is Jeremy Mulder. Lighting design is provided by Justin Hammonds. This has been a production of Friends, Facts, and Fiction.
Friday.
I was like, what?
Saturday. Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, Saturday. No, Friday.
Was it Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday.